මෙහෙම වැටෙනට කමන්නේ මේ හඳනකොට මේක වැටෙනවා අනිත් පැත්ත. Okay, so let's chant Namo Tassa 3 times to observe 5 precepts. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Saranaagamanang sampunnang. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinna dana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kamesu miccāchāra veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Suramere majjapama dattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Tisaranena saddhing panchasilang dhammang sadukang surakkitang katva appamadena sampādeta. Sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Dear Venerable Sangha and dear devotees, today we are going to learn very important Dhamma lesson. And also it's a special day for all of you, especially for the Kathina team, 2024. And this is your first Kathina Dhamma Deshana. So from today onwards, they will start the Kathina Dhamma Deshanas, Dhamma talk for the Kathinas. And some of them will be in Sinhala, and I think 2 or 3 of the talks will be in English medium. So first of all, I would like to thank all the youth who gathered here to listen to Dhamma. It's impressive amount of numbers of kids to participate in the discussion in such a late time, especially in the night time Dhamma discussions. Sorry to break your sleep, but we'll take another hour plus to talk about important Dhamma lessons. And also you get to ask questions as well at the end of the session if you have any questions. Right. So I decided to teach or decided to talk about a special sutta or discourses explained by Lord Buddha. I don't know whether you guys heard about the Tripitaka. Some of you are aware about the Buddhist doctrine, the canonical texts. In the canonical text, we have Sutta Pitaka. In the Sutta Pitaka, there are 5 sections. In Pali, they're called Majjhima Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, Digha Nikaya, Samyutta Nikaya, and Khuddaka Nikaya. So there are some categories based on the length of the discourses, like the middle length discourses are in Majjhima Nikaya, long discourses are in Digha Nikaya, short discourses are in Khuddaka Nikaya, like that. So there's a section called Anguttara Nikaya. In that section, there's a sutta called Adi Brahmacharya Panya Sutta in the section 8. So if you want to refer in the future, now you can remember that. So then the sutta name is Adi Brahmacharya Panya Sutta. Why I select the sutta specifically? That explain about if someone want to practice the Dhamma, if someone want to practice or develop the path towards Nibbana, what are the steps to learn Buddhism? What are the steps to learn the teaching system? That's the main goal of this discourse. It's very important. Because especially in our youth, I think, in our future generations, they struggle to understand Buddhist concepts. And most of us have misconceptions about Buddhism, wrong understandings. And so I recognize the value of teaching Buddhism to our youth, especially, and also find the access for them to directly study the words of Lord Buddha. So you can straight away study the words of Lord Buddha in Tripitaka. If you study the 3 discourses, the Tripitaka canon, which means the main text of Buddhist teaching system, you can learn about the direct teachings of Buddha, interpretations or translations directly without going for any other secondary or tertiary sources. So how to study Buddhism, or what are the steps to develop? First of all, before entering into this discussion, we have to learn about Buddhism, whether it's a teaching system or religion or philosophy. It's a long debate, discussion, so it's better to easily understand that. If you consider the path of Buddhist teaching system to reach Nibbana, the ultimate goal of Buddhism is to develop our mind all the way to reach the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. That's our ultimate goal. If someone is considering or if someone is learning Buddhism or practicing Buddhism in order to reach Nibbana or to develop your mind up to the highest level possible, then definitely this is not a religion or a philosophy for you. Bunch of techniques are there, so that's why I use the word teaching system all the time. It's a system, systematic teaching. You can learn that, you can practice that, you can apply that, you can get the results. It's that easy. There's no hidden agendas or any other hidden codes that you have to follow. No, it's just open knowledge. You can read, apply into your day-to-day life and practice, you'll be fine. So then in that case, we always try to give this idea to our society, especially to you guys, that don't look at Buddhism as with the perspective of a religion, because it is not only a religion. There is a religious phase, there is a philosophical approach, of course, but you can't consider Buddhism only as a religion. Can't consider Buddhism as a philosophy. We have the philosophical approach, we have the religious approach, but the main teaching system is focusing on developing your mind up to the highest level possible, all the way to Nibbana. So there are a bunch of techniques that you have to follow. So all these suttas are explaining about the techniques that you have to develop in order to reach that level. So that's the introduction for Buddhism. So if someone wants to learn about Buddhist teaching system, the first example or the first lesson taught by Lord Buddha is shadha. That's the word. Sometimes we translate the word shadha as faith, but have to be a little bit careful with that translation, because it's also like a misinterpretation otherwise. Same like some people believe Buddhism is talking about suffering, Buddhism is negative, which is wrong. I'll explain that in our discussion as well. So, shraddha, if you translate as faith, if you already have the meaning of that word in your mind, then definitely you will understand the concept of shraddha based on the idea that you have in your mind. That's the problem there. So, then how to understand that? What is the method to recognize? Go for the definition. You have a definition for the saddha. What is the definition of saddha? Definition is one's understanding of Lord Buddha's knowledge. Like Shraddhati Tathagatasya Bodhing, that's a Pali stanza, which means your understanding about Lord Buddha. which means you're understanding about his knowledge, you're understanding about his teaching system, you're understanding about his practice. So it's about understanding. It's not about believing, it's not about something like a blind faith, no. There's no space for blind faith or any sort of blind beliefs in Buddhism, no. It's always about understanding. So if you understand the qualities of Lord Buddha, if you understand the qualities of Dhamma, qualities of Sangha, if you understand the main ideology of the Buddhist teaching system, that's the most important part. The most important part is that. So you have to start from there, and then only we can develop up to the next level. So that's why we always use the word shadha, or in a way we can say knowledge-based understanding. So if anyone commenting about Buddhism, criticizing about Buddhism, or giving comments about Buddhism without an understanding, that is not a proper thing to do, because we are not giving a comment based on our knowledge. We're just giving a comment because of what we understand. What you understand may not be the Buddhism. That's why I say please study, understand, read or listen. Then you will get an understanding about, oh, this teaching system is unique. This Buddhist teaching system is not like ordinary teaching system. It's a unique teaching system that do not push us to do something that we don't like. It's always encourage us to be positive. Like we always believe in our, not everyone of course, we don't really complain about it, but sometimes, most of the time I have this comment from our community, especially from our youth, that does Buddhism believe in like in a negative form of understanding, or maybe are you talking about suffering in Buddhism, sort of comments. We have to clear out that first. Buddhism is not talking about suffering. Buddhism is talking about happiness. Which happiness? The ultimate one, the ultimate happiness. Nibbanang paramang sukha. Parama sukha means the ultimate happiness. So we're talking about reaching into a level that you are not affected by any sort of anger, delusion or attachment or any of these things. You can be free and happy. So that's kind of the one of the biggest and most powerful happiness that you can ever understand and imagine. So that's what we are talking about here, happiness, ultimate happiness based on. And also, when you talk about the ultimate happiness, it's not about, ultimate happiness is not only about like being happy by using meditation, being happy by using, spiritual development. Also in your day-to-day life, the life balance is also there. There is a stanza stated by an Arahanta. He even prays about the beauty of the environment. He was living in a forest. He's an Arahanta. He said, yeah, this is a beautiful forest. I live in this forest. Only a person who wants to develop their mind up to a higher level would like to live in the forest. It's beautiful. So he is enjoying the environment and he's explaining that to others as well. So which means that, yeah, they are really happy monks. They were really happy lay people. Those practitioners were happy. They were relaxed. They were always like, had very light mind. They were not worried about things. They understood everything. That's the secret behind that. When you understand, when you recognize the value, then you will be able to see the happiness in Buddhism. As an example, you can see the same fact that we know. Some people say that talking about suffering, talking about sicknesses, talking about getting old, talking about death, all these things are negative. No, they are not, because we are not actually discouraging anyone by talking about death or sicknesses. We say that in case if you fall into sickness, in case if you experience the suffering or the pain of getting old, in case if you experience death, in case if you experience a departure of loved one, in case if you have to work with someone that you don't like, all these scenarios are there that you will suffer. So what we do, we learn about it, we know about it, and we train our mind to face those situations better. So when you are sick, you can face it better. When you face a departure, you can handle it better. When you're getting old, you can take it better. If you have to work with someone that you don't like, you can handle it better. So you can use this compassion, kindness, all sort of impermanence, all sort of tools for you to be happy. So that's the secret behind that. It's not the negative form, it's the positive form of that. Even in such a situation, even in such a difficult situation, how to be happy, how to be a great person, how to be a balanced person, how to keep your mind happy, how to keep your mind relaxed. That's more important. So this is the main value or the main intention of developing meditation up to a higher level. Otherwise, there's no use of meditation, right? If you meditate and if you can't even control your mind, if you can't even handle your mind, if you can't handle your anger, attachment, delusion, what is the base? What is the meaning of practicing meditation? There should be meditation approach there, so you can understand. Right, this is the reason that I had to develop meditation. You can easily observe, and by observing you can understand. So this particular observation proves that if I get angry, if I overly attached, if I overly deluded about things, then I can't see the reality. If I want to see the reality, I should not be attached to the things too much. That's the way that we can realize, that's the way we can see the ultimate realities of the world. So all these teachings are there for us to understand the reality, not to like go for a prejudice. Right? So I have to be very careful with that. So in Buddhist teaching system, if you get to know about these, the qualities of Buddha, what sort of person the Buddha is. There are two different concepts that we talk about Buddha. One, we talk about Lord Buddha. We know the person. We call the noble human being who lived during the time of 6th century BCE. That is the noble living being who lived, noble human being who lived. His name was Siddhartha Gautama, and after the enlightenment we call him Lord Buddha or Buddha. So sometimes there are a lot of different words like Tathagata, Sammasambuddha, Buddha, Lord Buddha, Supreme Buddha. We use different terms, but at the same time we can recognize Lord Buddha by looking at his qualities. There are two different versions of Lord Buddha for us to understand, just like what you see in a society. I think you know there are some people that you really like, right? They have good qualities. So sometimes you remember them because of their appearance, sometimes you remember people because of their qualities. What is more powerful? Qualities. So you remember the people who have good qualities. You don't really pay attention or care about their appearance that much, right? You pay attention and care about their qualities. You remember the character based on their qualities. So that's how we recognize Lord Buddha. Lord Buddha, he himself mentioned that just don't look at myself, don't look at the appearance. The appearance that you see is not Lord Buddha. My teaching system, the qualities reflects what is Lord Buddha and who is Lord Buddha. Wo dhammam passata, wo mam passati. Which means the person who sees the Dhamma can see me. Wo mam passati, wo mam passati, wo man dhammam passati. Which means the person who sees the Dhamma can see me. That's the most important part there. So in that case, if someone learn about the qualities of Lord Buddha today, what happened? You can see the qualities of Lord Buddha. So you can see the person, you can see the noble human being who lived during the 6th century BCE through his qualities. You can see what sort of a person is Lord Buddha, what are the qualities, how he lived. So that's the main motivation fact for us to understand about Lord Buddha. So without learning about the teacher, how come we, I always say that if you want to learn anything, any sort of teaching system, we have to ask some questions, right? Who is teaching that? Like whose teachings are there? If someone is teaching you something, any religion, any teachings, you have to ask these questions like who is teaching that? That is Lord Buddha's teaching. So what are the teachings? What are the things that they teach? That is the Dhamma in Buddhism, which means all this knowledge taught by Lord Buddha that we are talking today. So you have a teacher who taught this, you have a person who found out the knowledge, right? So you have the knowledge, right? Do you have any practical example who are practicing that? Yes, that is Mahasangha. So these three questions are very important. Is there a teacher? Is there someone who have explained all these things? Is there methodology or is there a teaching system? And do you have any practical evidence for that? Do you have any followers who really practice that, who develop their mind based on the practice? Yes. So it's a lucky, fortunate thing that we can see, we can show you, yes, Lord Buddha is there. He is reflecting through his qualities. And you can see the Dhamma through the qualities of the Dhamma. You can see the Sangha through the qualities of the Sangha. So you can see Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, Lord Buddha, his teachings and the practitioners through the qualities. So if someone learned the qualities, someone learned about these practices, what happened? They will enjoy the practice. They will like to learn about it. They will like to develop their mind up to a higher level, a better level and stronger level because of the faith, because of this particular understanding based on the knowledge. So that's the important part there. If you lose that, then forget about going further. Forget about developing the Dhamma up to the higher level. No, can't do that. Because this is the base. So if you lose the base, all other things, there are benefits. As an example, you can receive benefits by just practicing meditation, of course, can do that. But this pathway, starting from the understanding, trust based on the understanding, is very important to fulfill the journey. If someone is thinking of fulfilling the entire journey all the way to Nibbana, this is very important. If you don't have any idea, just have an idea to relax and just meditate, yeah, then no problem. Just practice any meditation, you'll be fine. But if someone wants to develop mind up to the highest level possible, number one is very important, that is shadha. And then second quality is very important. This explains about the open value of Buddhist teaching systems, like how important is to ask questions, to open up the teaching system. So number two, Lord Buddha said that if someone wants to practice the Dhamma up to the highest level, start with shraddha, knowledge-based understanding. And then you should ask questions. Number two is there. So you can see how open Buddhism could be to bring the second fact as asking questions. If you go through the text, you can see so many different people have asked so many questions. Some people even have asked kind of a criticizing questions, to neglect Lord Buddha, to put to devaluate him. So not really to understand or not really to help the teaching system. There were people who asked. Some people try to trick Lord Buddha by asking tricky questions. He answered all the questions. There are some restrictions there because there are some questions that if you provide the answer, it can be dangerous to you or your ideology. Then Lord Buddha would not provide those answers. And those are like as an example, if someone asks, is the world, is there an infinity of universe, or if the universe is not infinite, so those kind of information, no. Because if you talk about that, then definitely you will deviate from the Dhamma pathway. You will not really understand direct teachings of Buddha. Then you will go to a different direction. So he would not answer such questions that divert your attention from the Nibbana. Those questions, no. But any questions about the teaching system, why do you teach like that? What is the meaning of this particular teaching system? Like that. But it's not about, again there are some questions, like an example today, if someone asks, can you provide scientific evidence to rebirth? If you say like that, this question is kind of invalid because Buddhism is not science. Even if someone managed to explain rebirth based on science, which we can do in a way, not exactly, it's a little bit complicated, but it doesn't matter because Buddhism is not talking about scientifically proving anything. It's about developing your mind. You have to understand by developing your own mind. Some questions are there. So these sort of questions we cannot answer. So even if we cannot answer, we don't say don't ask. You can ask, no problem. Only thing that some questions will lead to like a difficult understanding. So we will definitely say, no, this question is not so suitable now. But if you want an answer, we can do like a research about it, learn about it. We can have an answer, but straight away we can't give the answer. So there are ways that we answer. So number two is this is the most important thing there, because like if a teacher is saying that, first of all you have to understand what we are teaching, and then you have to ask questions. How open that teaching would be. Who can do that? Who can challenge people to ask questions? Okay. And then also there are patterns to answer. When you ask questions, there are 4 different patterns to answer. If a person asks a question from Lord Buddha would definitely answer like straight away. If the question is a question with an answer that you can just answer straight away, he will just say yes or no, straight answer. We call it ekansa vyakarana. Or if there are like answers like one word or like one sentence, he will just straight away answer the sentence or the word. So simple example, if someone say that, so according to Buddhist teaching system, if someone practice meditation, can you guarantee that he can develop his mind? Lord Buddha would say, yes, I can guarantee he can develop his mind, but I can't guarantee he would develop his mind up to the highest level possible, but he will develop up to some level. So this is a straight away answer, yes, possible, but not up to the highest level, but up to some level, depending on their ability. So it's like a proper straight answer. And if someone asks like, am I too late to practice Buddhism now because I have been doing a lot of wrong things for a long time? Can I start my meditation and Buddhist practices now? Lord Buddha would say, yes, you're never late. There was a stanza as well. Yocha pubbe pamajjitva pacchaso napamajjati. A person who was delayed, or the person who was not heedful enough in the beginning, but now he is heedful and practicing the pathway, he will definitely come out of the unwholesome deeds that he have created, and he'll be a wholesome person. Just like a moon come out of the cloudy sky. It'll shine on the earth again. In the same way, if you are a person who practices wrong practices, then if you decide to change, definitely you will get the results. Anytime, right now. You can start now. From today onwards, I will not do any bad things. I'll protect 5 precepts. I'll develop my mind. I'll organize my mind in a proper manner. I'll continue. Yes, that will be a start. Perfect. And then number 2 is vibhajya vyakarana, which means you break the answer and you deliver the answer. As an example, if someone asks, like, what is the process of rebirth or reincarnation? And there will be 12 links of dependence. Dependent origination. There are 12 links. So you will break the topic into 12 particular links and then explain one by one. Especially if any of you are interested in learning about the Buddhist concept of rebirth, yes, it's there. That is dependent origination. Learn about it, you will know why we are saying the rebirth is there. We can provide the Buddhist evidence or ideological evidence or theoretical evidence based on Buddhism perfectly. So the starting of that is dependent origination, 12 links of dependence. So this 12 links is very important for us to understand rebirth and all other Buddhist concepts that we are explaining about. And then number 3, if you ask a question, answer would be another question. Like as an example, someone asked from Lord Buddha, so if I do all the bad deeds in the world, would that be good for me to practice like that? Then Lord Buddha said that, have I ever said such thing? That's a question. So which means no, in a way. Like there was a monk who said that, don't worry, there are a lot of things that Lord Buddha asks us not to do, but if you do those things, even though that Buddha asks us not to do, you'll be fine. Don't worry, do it. So when he said that, Lord Buddha just asked the question, have you ever listened to such a Dhamma talk that I have given? Have you ever heard that I said do all the wrong things that I consider as wrong, that's fine. Have I ever said that? The monk said no. So that's actually the answer. Instead of providing an answer, he's providing a question for him to understand that Lord Buddha have not said such thing. And then number 3 is most important, because there are some questions, if you answer them, there are some questions, if you involve with those questions, you will entangle yourself with the question. Why? Because they are not helping us to develop our mind up to the highest level, not any level. So it's not there for us to develop our mind up to any level. So if the question is not useful for the listener, useful for the person who teach, useful for anyone else in the audience, Buddha will not talk about that. But still you can ask questions. There's no restrictions to ask questions. It's about answering. There will be some restrictions to answers, but questions, no. You can ask questions. So that's very important there, because that explains that teaching system itself is open. You can ask questions. And the number 2 fact is actually asking us to ask questions. Please ask questions if you want to understand better, because this is a very important part, because I'm saying it again and again, it's important. Why? That's the only way that you can learn about the Dhamma concepts and conditions based on your understanding. That's the only way that you can extract the information that you really want. That's why I say Buddhism is unique. Each and every individual have their own path. Each and every individual have their own set of faculty knowledges that they develop. There's a way and pattern that you develop your mind. Each and every mind is unique. So that's why we can't design a course and introduce that course to you. Please follow this course, you'll be fine, you'll reach Nibbana. No, no such things. You have to figure out your path. How come you figure out your path if you are not asking questions? So it's very, very practical matter. So you had, when you ask questions, you will get your personalized version of understanding. That's why the second point is beautiful, because that explains that once you believe in that, once you believe in the path, once you understand this is a good path to practice, the number 2, second thing that you do is to develop that up to a higher level by asking questions. So you can select what sort of pathway that you have to develop. You can understand things based on your personal understanding. So it's very important to develop your mind in such a way. And then, not only that, about the ultimate goal. It's not about just listening. It's not about just asking questions. It's not about just believing in something. Number 3 is even more important. Have to ask questions, have to learn and focus yourself to the higher levels of understanding. So we always talk about the basics. Talk about the basics, about the 5 precepts, about aggregates and all these important basic information, yes. But you have to ask further, how should I develop my mind up to a higher level? What is the meaning of vipassana? What is the meaning of 5 aggregates? What is the meaning of 6 senses? How they work? What is the meaning of impermanence? How the impermanence works? Those information about the high level of insight. So these are the 3 preliminary conditions that you have to develop before you develop or before you practice the path. What are they? Learn or believe about a teaching system, which means your trust based on your knowledge. Shadha, trust based on your knowledge. We have to trust, yeah, this pathway is the pathway for me to develop. This is, you have to have the confidence about the path. That's number 1. Number 2, you need to ask questions about it and learn about the basics. Number 3 is the most valuable thing for the Nibbana. You need to clarify, how should I develop my mind all the way to the level of reaching Nibbana? So this is a little bit difficult for your level. You have to, you can learn that later, slowly, in next lessons. What are the sort of questions that you should ask, and how should you learn, and you have to practice and try all these techniques and then find out a technique for yourself. Like as an example, a lot of students ask this question for me, like, I am practicing meditation and I'm doing it for a long time, Still I don't really feel like I'm developing much, and so how should I practice into further level? So these sort of questions. Then you have to ask, like, I have been practicing Vipassana and all these different techniques based on impermanence and suffering and unselfness, and like, am I doing something wrong? Am I correct? Or should I continue it like that, or should I change that? These are the questions that you have to ask, like, how should I look at this particular matter? Like, there are some students who are practicing meditation, they ask, like, now, like, my mind, I'm practicing meditation, but still I don't really get how to look into the things based on the impermanence, how to relate with this non-selfness concept, how to understand the suffering without the concept of pain. All these kind of questions are there. So these questions will address your knowledge to reach your level up to a high level, that is all the way to Nibbana or into a higher Vipassana level. So these are the preparations. So 3 factors now. You have to remember these factors. Number 1 is trust-based understanding or confidence, knowledge-based trust. Number 2 is asking questions about the Dhamma matters. Number 3, asking questions or researching about higher levels of attainments and learn about them. So these are the 3 important things. 4th one is easy. Practice the precepts. Sīlavā hoti, anumattesu vajjesu bhayadassāvi. You be confident in your precepts. Remember, in Buddhism, precepts are not rules. Sometimes we have this understanding, precepts are rules. No. Precepts are not rules. Precepts are code of conducts that you can develop. That's why we use the word precepts. So sort of codes that we follow in order to develop our mind. So if you consider precept as like rule, then you will be forced to protect them. You will be pushed to protect them. Actually, you need the interest to protect them. You need your own wish to develop them. If you are developing or practicing them without your wish, you will start hate yourself, because if someone is pushing you or you're pushing yourself, if you don't know what is going on, if you consider that as a precept, no, it won't work for you. You need to know how valuable these precepts are. You need to know what is the meaning of that. Why precepts are there? Are there to block our freedom? No. Precepts are there for us to develop ourselves up to a higher level. If you read Mahahattipadopama Sutta and Chullahattipadopama Sutra, these sutras explaining about the value of precept. I think especially Chullahattipadopama Sutra. That sutta explain about a person, why you have to practice precepts. Number 1, we always chant this first precept, right? Pānātipātā Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyāmi. We promise not to kill any living being. That's why we do that. What is the meaning of not killing any living being? Why? Just because that we love them, just because that if we do that, it will be a bad karma. Actually, it's because of the quality that you develop. Instead of hurting someone, instead of killing someone, you practice the compassion and kindness towards them. That's important. In order to develop such level, you go to the first level first. If someone can practice the ultimate compassion straight away, you don't have to worry about the precept. But you can't do that, because in our level, not even ultimate compassion, showing the compassion to family members is a challenge for you guys. How come showing compassion to all other living beings? Showing compassion to your parents, showing compassion to your siblings, kids. We are struggling to show the compassion and kindness to our family members. I always say that we are so kind and so nice and so polite to the society, but not to our family. So how come? We have to show the maximum love and compassion and caring and kindness to our family first. That's the most important there. You don't have to show off your compassion and kindness to society that much, because sometimes people around you don't care about you that much. People really care about you are your parents in your home. Sometimes people really care about you are maybe your siblings. Maybe for parents, their kids. They are the most caring, most responsible, most valuable people in your family. Start your compassion from there. That's why in Buddhism, we always talk about compassion from yourself. Ahang averoho, you start from yourself. And all the family members. You start from the nearest people who live near to you. And then you spread to each and everyone. So start from there. Then you'll realize what is the real compassion. Real compassion is when someone is blaming you, when someone is hurting you, when someone is maybe falsely accusing you. If you can keep your mind calm and show the compassion to them, show the kindness to them, that's real compassion. When someone is talking nicely, to talk to them nicely, you don't need compassion. When someone is treating you nicely, to be kind, you don't need extra energy. You need the energy, you need the effort when someone is treating you in a bad way. If you want to return them, if you want to reply them with compassion and kindness, yes, that need a lot of practice. You need to practice, you need to work hard to do that. So that's very important. Don't forget that. So number one, why we are protecting first precept? In order to develop our life up to a higher level based on compassion. Stealing, instead of stealing or thinking about other people's things, you practice the generosity, dana. Instead of stealing or getting, you start practicing dana, offering. Why you had to practice dana in Buddhist teaching system? Why we always encourage about offering? Because we have to let go of unnecessary mental factors one day. If you can't let go of the physical things that you have, how come you let go of mental factors? So you have to train yourself. We are training ourselves to let go of unnecessary mental factors. So start is to let go of the wealth that we have. Not everything, but at least the amount that we can, the possible amount that we can. So you try to let go of things as much as possible and help others. At the same time, the act of kindness is also there. If you offer something to someone who don't have, who really needs some support, when you do that, you really feel happy about it. You really appreciate yourself doing such wonderful activities. But most important thing is to practice the concept of shadha, generosity. Practice to let go of things. And then, fourth precept, why we don't lie, why we don't really practice the truthfulness, because instead of lying, instead of talking about misleading someone, we are leading them in the correct pathway. Talk the truth, speak the truth, and ultimate truth, that is the Dhamma, Four Noble Truth. So instead of lying, you start talking about Dhamma. You're helping each other, you're helping other people by teaching them the pathway. So this is the pathway, this is how you should do it, this is the main instructions for you to develop your mind up to a higher level. So you keep on providing those valuable information to those. That's very important. And then, last one, is very important for our youth. No matter what, don't go for that. Intoxication. There will be a time for you in the future, maybe some of you already, that is the most toxic thing that you can ever do. There's no health benefit at all. Every single bit of intoxicants that if you are using are unhealthy. If you want evidence, I can provide evidence scientifically or based on Buddhism, any of these things. Extremely dangerous. It can deviate your attention and focus away from there, and if the mind can't focus, that is the biggest devastation to a human. That we have the ability to focus, we have the ability to control our mind, don't lose that. So instead of intoxicants, what we do, we reverse that to practice the ultimate mindfulness. So instead of intoxicating ourselves, we practice mindfulness. If you really want to enjoy your life, you can enjoy it better without any intoxicants. Intoxicants will never let you enjoy. It will lead your focus away from you. It will deviate your attention away from you. A lot of unhealthy conditions are there. There's a lot of dangerous side effects are there. So that's why we strictly against all these things. So these are not rules. These are lifestyle codes. These are precepts. If you practice, you will see the results. If you practice, you will get the results. That's how you do it. And then, So number 4, this is number 4, fourth concept, fourth ideology that explained by Buddha about a person who want to develop their mind up to the highest level. Fourth one is to be able to develop and practice precepts. So think about these precepts like valuable precepts and develop those precepts up to a higher level. Be a person who protect the precepts. So these are very important. Now again we go back to sort of the beginning of the topic, teaching or learning Dhamma actually. First thing is learning Dhamma. Number 5 is learning Dhamma. So now we have now the entire talk is about how to learn Dhamma properly. What are the steps to learn Dhamma or practice Dhamma properly? And among them, 5th one is learning Dhamma. Why is that? Because there are theories that we have to learn. As I always say, there's a very important teaching I always mention when I talk about Buddhism, being open. If you want to learn Buddhism, you have to be open-minded. If you're not open, if you have already prejudice in your mind, if your mind is skeptic, then you can't. You have to get rid of all these prejudice and focus on open ideology. So as an example, when someone is teaching something, instead of thinking against, like if someone is explaining something to you, instead of thinking against that, you have to think why this person is saying like that, why he think like that. That's very important. That's interesting actually. What motivates him to think in such a way? What motivates him to do such thing? That will give you a wonderful answer. Think about these kind of things only about the good things. Don't think about if someone is doing something bad, you don't have to think about it, it's a bad thing. But if someone is talking about a practice or Dhamma practice or Dhamma teachings or all sort of things, it's very important you have to know what sort of motivation behind this, why he thinks like that. Is there a benefit? Can I get the same benefit if I practice the same? That's important. That's very, very important. So then, it's very important for us to understand the thinking pattern of the other person, why he is thinking like that. Then only you can seek the knowledge. If you're not thinking like that, there's no way you can learn the knowledge. You can criticize, you will never be able to understand. If you really want to understand, you have to understand why he is saying like that, why the person in front of me is talking in such a manner. And then, learning about Dhamma. So there are facts that we have to learn. So number 1, listening. You can't learn Dhamma if you don't listen. You can't learn any other teaching system if you don't learn. So you have to listen or learn the Dhamma in order to develop up to a higher level. Then listening is number 1, sutta. If you just listen, then you will be, we call it like upside down pot. As an example about Buddhism, in Buddhism about a person who listens to Dhamma. It's about, the example is explaining about different type of pots. Imagine if someone want to fill a water pot and bring the pot into the pipe, a tap. So you open the tap and place the top, place the pot there, and then you wait for a while until the pot is full. If you put the pot upside down, can you fill the water? No. In the same way, if you sit here in the Dhamma hall, now you're sitting here. I know some of you are forced to participate in this program for sure, because I know I work with you guys. I know some parents are already watching behind that you want to listen to this Dhamma. Especially online also, some parents are forcing their kids to listen to this program. I know this has been going on for a long time. I was also forced as a kid to learn Dhamma and teach, listen to these Dhamma talks and meditate sometime. That's okay for me. I was happy that my parents forced me to learn Dhamma, at least. But depend on your values and understanding. So if you really don't want to learn or practice, I don't really appreciate to forcefully practicing it, but if it is like a friendly, kind of a support they provide by your parents, that's wonderful. So anyway, if you just sit here and if you just listen, but you have no idea what we're talking about, you don't really relate, you just think about something else, that's the upside down pot. So there may be some upside down pots here, not only kids, also some parents. I'm pretty sure. If I ask questions, I'm pretty sure that we can find out few upside down pots here as well. You just listen, but nothing goes into your mind. Just like you put the pot upside down in the tap, nothing goes into the pot. Number two, these pots are more popular. Number two, you put the pot properly under the tap, you open the tap, you fill the pot, you take the pot and you carry it home upside down. What happened? Everything will go out, no? All the water will spill. So that sort of pots are very popular. Like today, we listen to Dhamma right now. Yes, you guys are listening perfectly, majority, wonderful. Immediately after the talk is finished, food is there, you will go to eat, you will gossip, you will forget about what I talk, you will go home and sleep, finish. That for sure. 80% would be like that. That's the upside down pots. So upside down pots are there. And third pot is little bit okay. That is a pot, we fill the pot perfectly and we carry it properly, bring it home. Next day morning when you want to drink some water, water is not there because there's a leak in the pot. That is okay at least. You try to learn here, you try to remember these concepts and you go home and then you're not practicing, so you forget it. At least you have put some effort, but still you can't get the maximum results. The last pot is more important, that is most important. That is, you fill the pot, you carry the pot home, and then you keep the water, you drink. That is the person who learn, who remember these concepts, practice the concept, and apply to himself and develop his mind. That's how it works. So try to be the fourth pot if possible, if not at least the third one. Don't be the first and second. Then you will not get any benefits from any sort of Dhamma discussions or anything. So Buddha said, listen first. He said that. There was an example about listening to Dhamma that is amazing. He said that, imagine if you have a sickness for 100 years. Imagine if you live like 120 years. So imagine you are suffering from a specific sickness for 100 years that you have like really fed up with the sickness. And if you found a doctor who can give you a proper medicine to cure you, imagine if the doctor said, okay, I will tell you the prescription only one time. Just listen to the prescription and write it down. How would be your intensity to listen to this thing? Maximum, right? 100%. You will listen to that very carefully, you will not do any other things, you will write it down properly, you will remember that, you will find the medicine, you will use that because you have suffered. So Buddha said, we have suffered in the samsara more than 100 years, more than 100 lifetimes, more than billion, quadrillion lifetimes. The number of lifetimes that you have suffered are countless. So that's enough. We can stop the suffering. So do you have any solution? Yes, we have a solution. These are the solutions. Then you have to listen very carefully. So listening is very important. Also listen to understand, not to reply. Sometimes we listen to reply, especially when the parents talk. Right? You have to listen to understand, not to reply. After that you can reply. But what we do, we don't want to understand, we just listen to reply. So if someone is talking like five, 6 sentences, you just grab one sentence and just reply. Just get the idea of the entire explanation and then reply, okay. But at least first understand. So Dhamma is like that. At least understand what you learn and then try to apply them. If they are not working, if there's any sort of conflict, then you can ask. Then you can ask the question, then you can talk about it. Then sutta datta, which means understand about it, memorize. Vachasa parchita mean have to, those days they didn't have documents, so then they like, in a way like they remember those things by oral recitation. They keep on repeating those by memorizing. So then, because of that, it's very important for us to then understand, if you are learning something, if you're practicing, at least remember the facts for your practice. What sort of practice I'm doing, what sort of meditation teaching or technique I'm practicing. Just at least remember the practice that you're developing and then continue. So you have to kind of memorize your technique, at least your pathway, what you are doing. And then manasanupekkita, which means you have to apply that as much as possible in your life. At the same time, you have to think about the concepts that you have developed. You have to think about your practice. You have to think about the good qualities that you have learned and have practiced. Then only you can develop a straightforward idea about Dhamma. So this is the way to learn Dhamma. Listen well, try to remember them like by heart them if possible, if not like keep that in your memory very well, and think about those concepts and ideologies again and again. Try to apply them to yourself again and again, and then try to go to a proper understanding based on that. These 5 steps are very important if you want to learn Dhamma into a higher level. And then I recommend first pay attention to the primary sources, Tripitaka, especially Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka and Abhidhamma Pitaka. These are the 3 canons of, so pay attention to the sources, primary sources, and study the Dhamma. That's very important. There are a lot of English translations available, especially in the Sutta section. You can find out those recognized translations and you can read them. It's very important then. And then number 4 is the application part. Now precepts are there, we learn Dhamma. Now first remember the belief or the understanding based knowledge, and then you ask questions, and then you learn about the higher levels of understandings, and then you practice the precept, and then you practice the Dhamma or learn the Dhamma. Now you have to apply them. Virya. Virya is the application part. That is very important in the practice pathway. Why? If you are not putting the effort, there will be no results. No matter how much you learn, no matter how many exams you pass, even if you learn Buddhism, Buddhist examinations, or if you are learning, no matter how many stanzas you can remember, no matter how many suttas you can remember, if you are not applying the quality, that's the end of your practice. You will be a person with knowledge, you won't be a person with practice. You will not experience any practice. Lord Buddha gave a wonderful example for this. It's like a person who is herding others' cows. So you are herding them, but you don't get any benefits. So you just do that as a job. You go to the job in the morning, you herd the cows around, and then you bring them back to the farm and you go home. You don't get any benefits from that. You just get the salary. That's it. But that's not a bad thing. I mean, that he's doing a job. But I'm saying that you will not, even though you're herding the cows, you will not receive any of their products. But if you're herding your own cows, then you will get their products. You will be the owner of the products of the cows, like milk, cheese, whatever that they create. So in the same way, if you just learn the Dhamma but you're not practicing, if you're not applying, then you will be a person like that. So very important for you to practice. Virya. Whenever we talk about the effortfulness, we always talk about 4 types of effort. I'll explain the concept first. Effort to develop or effort to generate the wholesomeness which is not in your mind right now. That's very important. Number 1, you need to think about generating the wholesome mental factors. So effort to generate wholesome mental factors is number 1. Number 2, effort to eradicate unwholesome mental factors. At the same time, when you put effort to develop wholesome mental factors, you have to put the effort to eradicate unwholesome mental factors. Number 3, effort to maintain or enhance the wholesome mental factors in your mind. Number 3, if there are no unwholesome mental factors in your mind, effort to restrain them entering into your mind. So, 2 about wholesome, 2 about unwholesome. What are the 2 about wholesome? 2 different efforts. What are they? Effort to develop wholesomeness which is not in your mind. Effort to enhance the wholesomeness which is already in your mind. Easy to remember that. About unwholesomeness, effort to eradicate the unwholesomeness in your mind, and effort to restrain unwholesomeness entering into your mind. Remember that. That's very easy, these 4. Easy to learn, I mean, not to practice for sure. Very difficult to apply. Because this is about our mind. This is about focusing on the mind to restrain yourself from engaging with any unwholesome things and encourage your mind to develop wholesome mechanisms. So, always think about the wholesome things. How should I develop wholesome matters? How should I develop wholesome deeds? That's important. And then, effort to continue your practice. There are some meditators, some kids who want to meditate with us, who always say that, Bhante, I want to meditate, I want to practice meditation. So, usually in our classes, we give the guidebook, like we always ask them to practice with the meditation guidebook, which means we provide us like a small booklet for them, so they can write down their meditation experience. So, we say, okay, first day, write down the first meditation instruction. So, I will provide a meditation instruction for them. So, I will ask them to write down in English or in Sinhala, in their language, your first meditation advice given by the teacher, and then ask them to report their experience, meditate for a week and come back to me, report the experience. So, most of the kids, they come back within a week and report their development, report about their meditation week, and then we give a new instruction, or we say just follow the same instruction. You write down in the book and you go home, you practice, and after a week again you write down your progress. It's more like a progress discussion. It's very effective because then you can see your development. You guys can practice that by yourself. If you don't have a teacher, you can learn Dhamma and practice. You can write down your experience. It's very important if you want to develop meditation up to a higher level. If you have a teacher, much better. But I have experienced that it will continue only for 1 or 2 months, and slowly they will miss the meetings, they will miss the Dhamma talks, they will miss the meditation instructions. And after a year or 2 again, they will come and say, Bhante, please teach me from the beginning again. This will repeat for a few times. This happens with your parents and kids and everyone. Why? Lack of effort. You don't have enough effort to maintain that. Yes, you enjoy that for a week or 2, that's good. After the 2nd or 3rd week, that's the hard part of meditation. Then you give up. Again, after another 2 or 3 months, again, if you listen to a very hard Dhamma talk about the danger of the samsara, again you think about, oh, I have to meditate. Again you come, again you start, again 1 or 2 weeks, finish. That way you can never develop your mind. If you want to develop, you need to have this effortfulness. You have to be effortful, have to continue your effort. You need to put that effort every day. If you want to see the results of meditation, mark my word, you cannot see that if you are not dedicated enough to practice every day for 6 months, continuously, every single day. I believe even if you miss 1 day, you will not achieve the same results. You have to go every day, at least 10 to 20 minutes every day, at least, depending on your capacity. 10 in the morning, 10 in the evening is the best. If you can go more than that, wonderful. You have to do that every day. Doesn't matter what you have, every day you have to do that. I'm pretty sure you have more important things to do every day to spend 10 or 20 minutes. You spend some time there for sure. You can reduce 10 minutes from your sleep, 20 minutes from your sleep and practice every day. Especially, you can reduce 10 minutes from your social media time, definitely. Gaming time, especially for our kids, and do that. Here goes the time. So you have the time. No time is not an excuse anymore, because there's a lot of time that we kill a day. So yes, we have time to practice that. If you don't have time, if you're using public transport, that's the best time. 10 minutes, that's enough. And then after 6 months, you'll see how you change. If you note down your condition of your mind at the beginning of this practice, if you write down about yourself every month at least a few lines about your condition of your mind, after 6 months you will see your progress in your meditation guidebook. That will be really progressive. So that's why we say practice based on the effort, put the effort. Whenever you don't feel like meditating, think about, Bhante said that without effort we can't do that. Without effort we can't develop our mind. That is the key to access this knowledge. Knowledge is there, but if you really want to access that, if you really want to apply that knowledge, that's the best thing to do. And then number 7 is not that relevant to you guys, because number 7 is about the monks especially. Teach the Dhamma, Dhamma Desana, with the kind heart, with the understanding that this will help a lot of people. You guys can also do that actually. I know some of our young students, they do that. They teach their kids, so they teach their friends sometime. They teach their kids when they have young kids, and then if you have friends, you can deliver the knowledge to their friends. And sometimes some kids, they teach Dhamma to their parents also. So then, yes, you can teach, you can explain about that. I have learned a very interesting topic today about Dhamma. There are 8 different steps. So if you practice those steps, you will be able to develop Dhamma very well. It's in Anguttara Nikaya number 8. So you can just talk about it to someone. If you want to read, just read about that sutta. It's really interesting. Looks like I want to read that. So if you encourage someone, that's also considered as delivering the Dhamma. So sharing Dhamma. That is number 7. So we have learned about 7 factors. Let's just recall them quickly. Knowledge-based understanding, asking questions about Dhamma, and learn about the deep practices about Buddhist teaching system. Practice the precepts, and then learn the Dhamma, and then 6th one is put in the effort being effortful. 7th one is to to teach Dhamma to other people. Dhamma Deshana, teaching. 8th one is practicing the Dhamma with the focus of non-selfness, impermanence, suffering, and non-selfness, anicca, dukkha, and anatta, based on the 5 aggregates. Based on there are specific topics that we talk about in the Dhamma. Those are the 5 aggregates: elements and senses. 6 senses, elements, and 5 aggregates. These are the roots of the existence. So we have to analyze all the aggregates based on the conditions of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. And you have to analyze each and every condition of the nature of the elements. You have to learn about the nature of 6 senses, and the nature of the impermanence, nature of the non-selfness, nature of suffering, how they work in those concepts. That's how it works. If you think in such a way, if you practice in such a way, that's what we call the deep or advanced vipassana. So number 8 is to use this knowledge to develop up to the highest level possible. So number 3, you learn about it. Number 3, you learn about the deep concepts and ideas. Number 8, you practice them. Number 8, you develop. That's the most important part. So there you practice up to a level. What are the levels? Practice until you reach first stable concentration level, or 2nd, or 3rd, or 4th, or all the way up to the 8th stable concentration levels, dhyana. Or you practice all the way to the attainments, sotapanna, sakadagami, anagami, arahat, 4 attainments. So practice all the way up to the nibbana. So that's the 8th fact. So these are the facts that if someone wants to develop Dhamma up to the highest level possible, this is the way that we can develop our mind up to the highest level. So you learn about the sutta, Adi Brahmacharya Panya Sutta, in Anguttara Nikaya 8 today. That's in the Sutta Pitaka. If you want to read, please read that. It's a very interesting sutta. Especially for Sinhala listeners, there are a lot of explanations about this sutta if you are interested in learning that. Even for English listeners, translations are available. I'd like to share these merits to all of you. You practice all these conditions and qualities that we learned today, and try to read this discourse again if possible, and develop your mind. Don't give up your practice, continue the practice. If you're not practicing, try to understand the value of the Buddhist practice and development. Try to understand why your parents are encouraging you so much. I would change the word from force to encourage now. So why they're encouraging you so much? Try to understand why they think like that. And then I really appreciate if parents also can practice the Dhamma while they're encouraging their kids, because sometimes I've seen parents do all the wrong things but encourage their kids to do the right thing. That is, we call the Kakkutta Nyaya, which means we don't really appreciate that because it's now Sri Lankan theory. We call it crab theory, which means crabs are not really working straight, but they ask their kids to work straight. But we don't really appreciate that. If possible, parents also have to practice the Dhamma. At the same time, they can be an example for their kids. This is how it works. If the parents can be an example for their kids, that will be the biggest motivation and encouragement, not the force for them to practice path. So I hope all of you develop these wonderful knowledges and practice the path up to the highest level possible. I'd like to share this message to all of you to be happy, healthy, peaceful and content, and reach the ultimate bliss of Nibbana by the power of these wonderful meritorious deeds. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So if you have any questions, now is the time for you to ask. If not, we will go to the sharing merits. If you have any questions, just raise your hand. I will answer your questions quickly, and then we'll end the discussion. Any questions today? No. All right. So then we'd like to share these merits to all of you. Today we are sharing these merits to all the monks in the world who are practicing the pathway. We'd like to share these merits to all the